Hey everybody, it's Peter Catalano, Catalano Consulting and Insurance Services. We're here in the Woodlands, Texas area, and today we get to have a conversation with an attorney. And I know a lot of people out there find, all the attorney jokes that used to go around, but really this attorney, Kerri, she actually is awesome. And I don't put her into the category with all those other attorney jokes, at least not while she's on screen in front of me. So folks, would like to talk a little bit today about family law. Kerri Graham comes to us with great expertise here in the Houston area, or as I like to say, the country of Houston, comes to us with extensive knowledge in family law. And I know we can't go through everything about family law, but we're going to talk a little tidbit about it here today, and Kerri will help educate us. So Kerri, welcome. Thank you for joining me for this time.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation.
Oh gosh, my pleasure. I always love learning, and I think in this world of technology, giving people some great information that they don't have to go digging around, Google that knows everything, right? We get the real information, and although they'll find this on Google, hopefully they'll realize this is accurate info. Kerri, tell us, let's give our audience a little bit background of yourself. How'd you get here? Who are you? Are you real? Did you get your license yesterday, or you actually have some experience behind it?
I love that you thought I could have gotten my license yesterday. Thank you for ignoring all the wrinkles. That's great. No, I actually started out my career as a teacher. So I worked with a lot of special needs kiddos, and I loved that. I did that for 10 years and ended up writing some policy for the school district, was reminded how much I actually really loved the law. And I quit, went to law school, and now I've been practicing for about 10 years. One of the areas I focus in is family law, which I love because it's super diverse. It covers a variety of things from estate planning, business law, divorce. I mean, it covers the gamut because families touch all of those things. And so I like partnering with families when they walk through different restructuring tools. And I deeply believe in reconciliation and great relationships being a big benefit to kids. So I enjoyed a lot. My office is out here in Katy, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you and appreciate the opportunity to chat.
Oh, I've enjoyed the time that we've had together. I know that we're working on a few areas, helping some business owners deal with some transitions that are occurring.
Yeah.
I like to call it success planning, succession planning. In some cases, it is divorce planning. The transition changes with a lot of people. So thank you for your help. Listen, today, some area that gets kind of confusing for people, and if you could just give us a overview of how this works. Talk to us about the financial powers of attorney. I know when the state documents are completed, you have a will, you have a power of attorney for medical care, power of attorney for finances, and people, just sign here, sign. So what are they signing when they're doing a power of attorney? Are they giving up anything? What's happening here?
Yeah, so I think that the financial power of attorney is one of the most powerful tools, but also probably one of the most poorly drafted things that we see as attorneys. And the reason it's so challenging to have an effective, excellent financial power of attorney is because our law in Texas is not very helpful. If you look at our law in Texas says that you can have a validly executed power of attorney, but any entity can decide they don't want to accept that power of attorney for any variety of reasons. And the last one is a catch-all that says, we just don't really feel great about it. So there's no expectation that someone accept a power of attorney. So when we're talking about drafting this document, we are talking about having to meet the internal requirements of Chase and Bank of America and every other investment entity. We have to make sure our document does what it needs to do and addresses things like our constitutional home right, our homestead rights. And if it doesn't, all we have is paper. And when we have just paper and we don't have an effective, usable power of attorney, we are stuck with litigation as our only outsource to fix the problem. And we have to go through guardianship, was expensive, and it's time consuming, it's court supervised. And so this to me is the most important thing that you have in your arsenal. We can deal with everything else, but this document is irreplaceable and it has to be right.
So I hear this, and even my eyes are rolling in the back of my head here. I'm like, really? The banks won't accept it. The financial institutions won't accept it. Medical people may or may not accept it. So before we get into what, a little bit of detail of what needs to be there, where is this used? I mean, who's going to use a power of attorney? I'm never going to get sick. I mean, I hear this all the time. So where's this a
Right.
power of attorney commonly used? Is it divorce? Is it succession planning? Is it death? Is it disability?
It's all of it. I've been a caregiver 4 times, which is probably why I'm pretty passionate about this part, because I've seen ineffective documents. But if you don't have a document where your loved one, your spouse, your college age kids, that's what I have right now. I have my kids turned 18. I'm like, happy birthday. Here's some estate planning documents. I want to be able to make sure something happens. I can go to the bank and collect money. I want to do all the things we need to do. But and before we get into the weeds on it, effectively a power of attorney is a license to steal. So banks are afraid of it. Entities are terrified they'll get sued. That's why they're so strict about them. And then making sure that that document is registered prior to use. We want to make sure that if I have a power of attorney, my banks all have it while I'm healthy and happy and collected. And then we can do any necessary additional things. Many entities will make you sign another document in addition to the power of attorney to register it. And I'm sure you see that too, right? You guys probably have additional paperwork. And I'm sure we're doing it while we're happy and healthy and not in a crisis.
Got it. So what I'm hearing is document created, and even somebody who just turns 18, they should have this document in place and registering it. So couple different steps here. Let's quickly go step one. What are some of the high level points? What needs to be in this document?
So I'd say the first thing that shouldn't be there is maybe the most common thing I see is a lot of powers of attorney will name dual agents, meaning I have 2 adult sons and I want them to collectively serve as my agents. And that feels safe to me as an adult because now I have 2 people looking at things. Almost no institution will take that because the liability is so high. It's really important to look at your document and make sure you only have 1 agent named and then a second alternate agent named and really a third if possible. So I'd say that's the first thing that I would look for in a document. Second thing I would look for is if you have real property, every piece of real property, regardless of what state it's in, it should be included within the internal part of the document with the full legal description. So not the one you get on your CAD, not that little summary, but a specific authorization. And if you have a homestead, you want to make sure you include the homestead right because our homestead right in Texas is constitutional. It's super important, and you can't, even as a spouse, you don't have the right to manage your spouse's constitutional homestead right. So you have to specifically authorize that. So you want to look in your document and make sure your home is inside that document, not just attached as an Exhibit A on the back. Third thing you want is you want it to be, you want it to say it was executed in a lawyer's office. So if you ever have to do a home equity line of credit or reverse mortgage, deal with certain types of industries, they will not take a document that does not say this was done in an attorney's office because that lender, that title company, they want to know that someone else checked capacity, someone who was qualified to make that determination that this was a good valid signature.
Wow. Okay, this is almost kind of scary that so many of these documents are just whipped out online and not done properly, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Texas is making it harder to do forms, I think. In, I believe it was November 2015, we added some things to our power of attorney. And then in 2017, we even got more specific. And now we even have a list of things that if you don't specifically authorize it, your agent just can't do it for you. And some of those things are real important when it comes to, say, Medicaid planning, making sure you have language for Medicaid gifting or asset protection that needs to be specific. In lieu of just saying, well, yeah, you can just give my money away. We don't want to do that. So that drafting becomes really important too.
Amazing. I ran into a situation a couple of years ago with an adult child who was on disability, and it's quite extensive work. Just getting her benefits completed and her benefits ongoing, even though mom may be leaving a decent amount of money. So this is fascinating work to see the details that need to be in all this planning. So who should have this?
So anyone should have this because failure to have this very inexpensive document is going to lead to a guardianship in the event you become incapacitated either temporarily or permanently. And ideally, Peter, I think someone like me is going to want to work with somebody like you. So if I know a family has a financial planner, I want them to work with me with this document. I want to send it to them ahead of time. I want the financial planner to submit it to their agency. I want to know there's nothing extra required so that we can do the things we need to do that's specific to the family's needs. So I think, I like knowing someone like you is out there making sure that what I'm doing is complementing what you're doing, because at the end of the day, that's the only way we're helping people.
Well, I thank you for bringing that point. And one of the things that I love to do in my practice is making sure that I'm kind of quarterbacking everybody. I'm not on the ground for everything. I'm certainly not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I am a life insurance agent, but when it comes to the financial planning part of my business, I actually count on you, but I collaborate with you. And I know what's going on with my client, and I'm able to help communicate a little bit easier to you. Hey, here's what's really happening here, and then go to the client sometimes and say, hey, didn't you tell me this? Should we talk to Kerri about it? Or Kerri, this is coming up. Is this something that needs to be addressed? So thank you for bringing that up. I think it's critical that we collaborate well together. And really, for the sake of time, I know we could probably go on for this for hours, but can you just give me a little wrap up here? What would somebody need to do to really get started? Whether they work through me or come to you, how are they going to get a hold of you, and what do they need to bring to you, and share that with us, because we'd love to help people.
Well, I appreciate that. So for me, I'd rather see someone just sit in my office and have a conversation. If someone comes in and they have a crisis, I can draft the power of attorney. We can sign it right then as just part of a consult. But to me, I don't want you to have to bring me anything. Know your general net worth, but let's have a conversation. Let's talk about who makes a good agent. What are your lifetime kind of planning goals? Do we think we have enough budget to get you through any type of long-term care? Do we need to add in? I want to have the opportunity to collaborate with people like you if you exist on the other side. But for me, it's just a conversation. I don't need you to do anything fancy. I just want to talk to you, get to know you, and then let's figure out from there.
Got it. So, part of the family planning, estate planning process is really understanding the goals, the wishes, the desires of the individuals in the office. As I always say, I've been saying this for years, goals always change, values never do. So from my perspective in these conversations, I like to get the value aspect of it, not just I value a cup of coffee in the morning, which most people do, but these are the core values that I want exhibited in my life. And even though my goals may change, my marriage may change, my business may change, my health may change, at least having the relationship with you, we can come back and say, okay, these things change. What do I need to do? Or these are the kind of things, Kerri, that I want to make sure are conveyed in my documents. What do I need to do to make sure they're properly conveyed, especially when we're dealing with financial power of attorney? Because, finances touch everything, right? So I'm hearing from you that you really need to understand what they're about, so that this document probably is it. Let me ask you this: is this like one of the most important documents in all the typical financial planning arena?
I think so. I mean, most people will come in and say, I need a will, which, I mean, that's great. You should have a will. But if you don't have a will, our law provides what happens. If you don't have a power of attorney, you're left to the discretion of a court, and you're dependent on which judge you get and what they think and their own baggage. And not that we don't have great judges, and it's not that they don't care, they do, but they don't know you. They don't know your values. They don't know your wishes. And so they're going to stick to a very rudimentary plan, and it's going to cost you a lot of money when you could have just had a few pieces of paper. And it really is what it boils down to.
I get it. Plus, they have a strong workload. Kerri, for the sake of time here, tell us, how do people get a hold of you?
So I have a website, westhoustonlaw.com. My email is Kerri, it's Kerri at westhoustonlaw.com. And the office number is 281-972-7192.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for taking this quick 15 minutes or less with us today. I get it. The financial planning, the financial powers of attorney are critical. And I think it's something that everybody should open up and review. So thank you for your time here today. And boy, you're welcome back to chat with us anytime you have another great idea. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Peter. Great to chat with you.
Pleasure is mine.